I'm Eileen Clifford, and I came from the Oysterbed Sneem, the outskirts of Sneem village, and I'm 81 years of age, and I was born in 1938, the 6th of March 1938. We had a lovely, happy childhood, lovely mum and dad, yeah, and dad was a fisherman. It was all fish. We had fish, potatoes, and vegetables, and it was lovely, beautiful. And I used to help my dad set the garden. He'd show me how to put in the scallions. We used to call them scallions. He'd cut the eyes of the potatoes and put them in on the ridges. And he used to teach me how to set the carrots and the parsnips and all, and the vegetable marrow. And Mum used to make jam from the vegetable marrow. And Mum used to make, I used to have to go out and collect the blackberries. At that time they were big juicy blackberries, and we used to make the blackberry and apple jam. Mum used to have a big closet full of it up till the end of June. And in September Mum used to start making socks for the winter. She'd have all our socks made up, knee socks. And we'd have nice warm boots, and Dad used to put the tips on the ends of the heels of the boots and the studs on the centre so we wouldn't wear our shoes out. I had 3 sisters and 3 brothers, and they all were married, and they were married in the United States. My oldest memory is my granduncle going to Mass on a Sunday in his sidecar, and grand-aunt as well, and they both beautifully dressed. He used to wear a bowler hat and a bow tie and a beautiful white shirt, and that's what I remember him by. And they were really very lovely, and they'd always, and he'd make sure that I'd have a big glass of buttermilk when I'd go to visit him. It was lovely. I went to school when I was about 5.5 years of age, and Mrs. Sullivan Sheehan was my teacher, and I stayed with her until I was in the 3rd grade. And then I was sent into Mrs. Palmer's school, and Mrs. Palmer taught me until I was 15 years of age. I loved history. I did. I really loved history and geography. I was very into geography, the map of the world and all that sort of thing. And the teacher used to teach the children that were shopkeepers' daughters and policemen's daughters, and they will have to go to college, you see. But we were country people. We didn't have to go to college, so she'd give us the teacher would give us an essay to do while she was teaching on the board. But the eyes used to be on the board looking and watching how they did the curriculum for the college, and I learned it, the algebra and geometry and trigonometry and all that sort of thing. She was a very good teacher, Mrs. Palmer. She was a brilliant teacher. I was very curious. I was really. I left my mammy and my daddy and my sisters and all, and I went to work for that lady in the village. I went to school, and I was learning in the house, learning how to do the cooking, learning how to do the housework, and learning how to make beds for the visitors. And if there was a little crease in the sheets, the lady that would come in to take the room would say, "Oh, somebody has been sleeping in my bed." So you'd have to come back and you'd have to redo the bed again. There'd only just be a tiny crease in it. Yeah, they were very posh, and they were English people. And they were beautiful people, really, really beautiful. You'd learn an awful lot from them. You would really. My dad came to me one day and he said, "Your aunt in America is after writing a letter and asking us to know if you'd like to come to America." So, "Oh, sure, Dad, I would, of course. I'm curious. I want to find out America, because I used to see people coming from America and they were all done up so posh and everything. And I wanted to see what America was like." So I said, "Oh, sure, Dad, I'll go." So then we had to go to the American consulate, and they examined you from head to foot to make sure you didn't have any diseases or any infirmities. So we had to be in good health going into the country. And it all happened from there. I got my passport then. My dad, we left then one morning. It was real ice. It was very, very cold and everything was icy. So we went all the way down to Kinmare. We got a train to Cove. We didn't land in Cove until 10 minutes to 6 in the evening. So I took all that time to the steam train. And just said bye-bye to my dad. It was sad, of course. And I went off out with the other people in the tender. And like I said, we went to the ship was way out in the Atlantic. So then we got on the big ship when we got out. And I'd be gone off out. And then I'd stay out all day upstairs, up on the top deck. And out in the sun and watching the birds, and you wouldn't see nothing but, boats, nothing, only water all the time. It was all water. Yeah, it was really exciting. Yeah, and sitting up there watching the waves and everything. Yeah, we came in then at Newfoundland. We had a bad storm. And then 2 or 3 nights later, we landed in Pier 54 in New York City. And I was amazed at the big buildings and the Statue of Liberty and all. You could see the statue, past the Statue of Liberty as you come into the harbour. And we were all out looking at the Statue of Liberty. And then we had our visas and everything. And didn't I lock my visa into my case? And I was the last one out of the boat. So my aunt was waiting for me, and so she said, "Are you Eileen Clifford?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "I'm Mrs. Mitchell." And then we took it from there. We went up to her apartment in the Bronx. Yeah, that's where she lived. After Christmas, then I started my job up in Scarsdale. It was the first Monday in January 1963. It was interesting. It was really. You had your place and you stayed. Yeah. And if they had something to tell you, they told you. And other than that, you didn't bother them. But then you would go to them and you'd say, "Mrs. Blumenthal, is everything satisfactory for you? Would you like any, changes to my way I'm doing the work or anything?" And she'd say, "No, I'm very pleased with your work, Eileen." Yeah. When I had my day off, first I had to get my train down to the Grand Central Station. And from there, I go over to St. Agnes's Church, to Monsignor Deneen, and have Mass and Holy Communion there. Go across the street, have my breakfast and my lunch. And so I go down to Macy's, and I'd be buying myself, the skirts or a nice dress. If I see a nice dress, of course I had to start all over when I went over, because I went over with a skirt and a sweater. And then I had to get nice dresses, and I had to get nice shoes, and I had to get a nice hat and coat, and a nice bag, of course. And then I was saving up my money for my aunt to give her back her fare. She paid by fare, you see, over to America, and then I had to pay her back, give her back her money, naturally. And then that took some of the money, but when I had all that done, then it was all my own money, and I was right in the pig's back then. Where I worked now, it was way up in the country, you see, and it was all gentry that was up there. People, they worked down in the city. They were managers of banks and all that sort of thing. Very wealthy people, yeah. Well, when I left Mrs. Blumenthal's house, I went over to Ireland for 3 weeks to visit my mammy and daddy and my brothers and sisters. And then I came back after the 3 weeks, and I decided I'd stay down in the city. And then I met my husband. I went to a dance down in the Tuxedo Ballroom, and I just went looking around, and he just asked me to dance, and I danced, and he wanted to meet me again, and so we kept in touch for a long time. And then all of a sudden he said, "Well, would you like to get married?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, "I will let you know next week." So next week I came back to her. I said, yeah, well, I think we'll get married. I said, I made up my mind. And so that's how it was. And we had a very happy life together. Very nice. It was lovely. At that time, my sister Elizabeth, Margaret, and Kathleen were there, the three sisters. And I had taken them over one by one and got them jobs. And they liked it, they loved it. And then they met their husbands and they got married, and the rest is history. I was living in until I got married as a housemaid, and then when I got married I decided I would go out myself by the day, and so I started my own little business. So I worked away for about 3 years or so, and then I decided, well, I think I'll change around again. And that's when I started working by hoteliers. I went in there as a filing clerk, filing old accounts. And then I was transferred from there to the shipping department. And I stayed in the shipping department, and I was there for 2.5 years. And they transferred me to the gift department upstairs, gift wrapping. They decided they'd give me my own desk. So I got my own desk. Gift wrapping, and I had to take care of the cash and all that sort of thing. I found that kind of strenuous in the mind, because it was all done in the mind, you see. Yeah. My big adventure was going down to Washington and seeing President Kennedy's grave and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers. And then I went, sat in a chair in the West Wing of the White House, where they give all the big speeches, the presidents and everything. So that was a big day, and the heat was something excruciating. You could boil an egg up on the steps of the White House. It was, I think, way over 100 degrees. Yeah, it was boiling hot. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Well, when I came back to Ireland in the end of 1974, my health wasn't very well, and so I came to my sister, stayed with her for a few days, and then my brother-in-law got me a job over in Cratloe in County Clare in a nursing home, and I was a nurse's aide there. And I really enjoyed it. That was beautiful. I was over in the Hotel Europe for 25 years, and I started there in 1979, and I was there until 2001, and I loved it over there. I did all the cleaning and the scrubbing as usual, and kept everything nice and neat and clean and tidy. When in 2001, I told the manager, I said, I think I will throw in the towel, sir. And he said, why? Well, I said, I'm 65 and I think I'll put my feet up. I was living up in Barleymount, and it was lovely up there as well, because I was looking down over the lakes of Killarney. It was lovely. And then one day Mr. Healy-Ray came and he said, what can I do for you? Well, I said, Mr. Healy, I said, there's fierce potholes down there in the road. Would you ever fill them for me? Oh, sure I will, he said. No problem, he said. Now, he said, is there anything else you want? I said, yes. I said, I'd like to move down to Killarney. I said, near the shops and that. My sight is not so good, I said. And he said, I got the right place for you. He said, they're building houses down near the grotto, he said, and you'll be the first one in there. I said, thank you so much, sir. Thanks so much. I was so delighted. And so one week, I got a letter from Clúd, and about 43 of us or 46 of us came in the same day in here to the Clúd building. And I haven't looked back. Beautiful, absolutely brilliant place to live. If I had to live again, I'd do the same thing. I wouldn't change a thing. No, I really wouldn't. No, I was very happy with my life. Yeah, thank God. You have to make happiness for yourself. You know, I mean, you can't take things too serious to heart. I mean, there's lots of things people might say to you, but you just walk away and, there's better days ahead. Better days ahead, I always say. Yeah.